The Dominion spear hung in low orbit like a chrome thong pressed against Earth's throat. Draxon, warlord of the Vreth Dominion, stood at the bridge viewport and studied the blue-green marble below with something between contempt and mild curiosity. He had conquered 43 worlds. Burned 17. Absorbed 9 into the Dominion's ever-expanding belly. Earth would be the 44th conquest, a footnote, he had already decided. Barely worth the fuel it would cost to park his fleet here. Open a planetary broadcast channel, he said, adjusting the blood-red sash across his armored chest. His translator bead pulsed at his throat. Channel open, my warlord, his communications officer chirped. Draxon squared his massive shoulders, 7 feet of engineered Vreth muscle and battle-fused bone, and spoke. People of Earth. I am Draxon, sovereign blade of the Vreth Dominion. Your governments have been dissolved by my declaration alone. Your militaries are already obsolete. You have precisely 1 planetary rotation to begin the surrender process, or I will demonstrate the mercy I have shown 43 other worlds before you. He paused for effect. There is no 44th option. He cut the channel. Around him, his officers waited for the usual response, frantic diplomatic signals, scrambling war leaders, perhaps some quaint nuclear launches that his hull plating would shrug off like rainwater. Instead, his communications officer blinked at her console. My warlord, a single entity is requesting a direct response channel. A head of state? No, my warlord. A pause. A student. A female juvenile. A schoolgirl, according to their planetary records. She appears to be 17 years of age. She is calling from a terrestrial location called Osaka. Silence on the bridge. Then Draxon laughed, a sound like grinding tectonic plates, and his officers laughed with him, because that was what you did when the warlord found something amusing. Put her through, he said, still chuckling. Let us hear what a schoolgirl has to say. The face that appeared on the viewscreen was unremarkable by Vreth standards. Small. Soft-featured. Dark hair pulled into a loose ponytail, school uniform still on, a half-eaten rice ball sitting on the desk behind her like she had been interrupted mid-lunch. She looked at Draxon the way someone might look at a mildly inconvenient traffic delay. You're Draxon, she asked. I am, he said, leaning forward with a predatory smile. And you are a child. State your purpose, little human, before I grow bored. My name is Alara, she said. And I'm the one you should actually be talking to. Draxon tilted his head. A schoolgirl? You represent your planet? No one represents Earth, Alara said, picking up a pencil and tapping it against her notebook with rhythmic patience. That's the first thing you got wrong. Earth isn't a dominion. It doesn't have a single throat you can grab. But that's not actually why I'm calling. She looked directly into the camera. I'm calling because I've spent the last 40 minutes calculating the firing parameters of your orbital cannon, the God Spear, based on the energy signature your ship is emitting, and I want you to fire it at me. The bridge went completely silent. Draxon stared. You want me to, he said slowly, fire my orbital cannon. At you. At me. Specifically, at these coordinates. She held up a piece of notebook paper with numbers written in red pen. I'll be standing in Namba Parks. It's a rooftop garden. Nice view. I want to see if my calculations are right. Your calculations, Draxon repeated. About whether I can catch it, Alara said simply. Draxon looked at his weapons officer. His weapons officer looked back with the universal expression of I have no idea what is happening. Child, Draxon said, and now his voice carried its full weight, centuries of conquest, the cold authority that had made warlords of older civilizations prostrate themselves in trembling surrender. The God Spear generates approximately 4.7 terajoules of focused kinetic energy per discharge. It has leveled mountain ranges. It has cracked the crusts of planets. It has erased cities so completely that only the shadows of their foundations remain in the rock. You are a 17-year-old human being made of calcium and water and organic tissue. He paused. What exactly do you believe you are going to catch it with? Ilara looked at her hands. She turned them over once, slowly, like she was examining them for the first time. Soft human hands. Small knuckles. A ink stain on the side of her right index finger from where she pressed too hard when she wrote. These, she said. Draxen decided, in that moment, that this would be the most entertaining execution he had ever personally arranged. Fire the god spear, he said quietly. Target her coordinates precisely. I want to watch. Ilara was already standing on the rooftop garden when the sky turned white. She had taken the subway. She had finished her rice ball on the train. She was still wearing her school uniform, the navy blazer, the pleated skirt, white knee socks, because she hadn't seen a reason to change. She stood at the center of the rooftop with her feet planted at shoulder width and her notebook open in her left hand, checking the last of her numbers one more time. The beam came from orbit. It came faster than sound, faster than warning, faster than the birds that scattered from the garden in a panicked white cloud a half-second before the impact. It came as light first, then as pressure, then as a column of focused annihilating force that struck the rooftop garden of Namba Parks in Osaka, Japan, at 12:47 in the afternoon on a Tuesday. And Ilara caught it. Not with technology. Not with a shield or a suit or a device of any kind. She caught it the way you catch a ball. She stepped into it, both hands up, fingers spread, and she absorbed it. The energy fountained outward around her in a corona of blue-white light that stripped the leaves from every plant on the rooftop and left a perfect circle of scorched stone radiating outward from where she stood. She stood at the center of that circle, unharmed, notebook still in hand. Her ponytail had come loose. She smoothed it back. Then she looked up at the sky, directly up, somehow precisely at the Dominion Spear's position in orbit, and she spoke. Not into a communicator. Not into any device at all. Her voice arrived on Draxen's bridge like it had simply decided to be there. That was 4.7 terajoules, she said. I clocked it. Pretty close to your specs. Now. She closed the notebook. Can we talk, or do you need another demonstration to take me seriously? Draxen's hands had stopped working. He was aware of this distantly, aware that they were gripping the edge of his command console hard enough to leave permanent dents in the alloy, and that they had forgotten how to release. Around him, his entire bridge crew had achieved a profound collective stillness that in any other context might have been mistaken for a religious experience. What, said his science officer, barely a whisper, is she? Human, the sensors officer said, her voice faint. Biosigns completely standard. No augmentation. No energy signature. No anomalous readings at all. She is, according to every instrument I have, a 17-year-old organic humanoid in a cotton polyester blend school uniform. That's impossible, someone said. Yes, the sensors officer agreed. It clearly is. Draxen stared at the viewscreen where Ilara stood, rooftop scorched black around her, looking up at his ship with the same expression she had worn from the beginning, calm, patient, mildly occupied with something more interesting that she'd been interrupted from. He thought about 43 worlds. He thought about the Vreth Dominion's unbroken chain of conquest spanning 400 years. He thought about what it meant that a schoolgirl had just caught his god spear barehanded and asked to talk. He opened the channel. What are your terms? He asked. Ilara blinked. Terms? Your terms. 4. Not destroying my fleet. She looked genuinely confused for a moment. Then something shifted in her expression, not arrogance, not triumph. Something quieter and stranger. I didn't call you to fight, she said. I called you because you seemed like someone who only respects demonstrations of capability. So I demonstrated. She tilted her head. I actually just want to know where you've been. 43 worlds, there's so much you could tell us. What's out there? What did you find? Draxon blinked. You, he said slowly, caught my orbital cannon. Barehanded. To get me to talk to you. I had 40 minutes before you opened the channel, Alara said, with a small shrug that encompassed the absolute reasonableness of everything she had done. I did the math. Draxon sat down in his command chair. He sat down because his legs had decided they were done. Communications officer, he said quietly. Yes, my warlord? Get me a secure channel to this child. A long pause. And bring me something to drink. Something strong. Because 44 worlds, it turned out, had a very different ending than he had planned. Humanity. They will confuse you, underestimate themselves, and then, with a pencil, a notebook, and a half-eaten rice ball, rearrange everything you thought you knew about the universe. They are not the 44th conquest. They are the 44th reason to wonder.